Greetings, Iowa State board members, delegates, and fellow committee members. My name is Joanne Tickus, and I am the incoming president of the Iowa P.E.O. Project Fund. I will provide a brief history, a review of our actions this past year, and our directives for the coming year. In 2003, I was initiated into Chapter E, Iowa City. I worked as a clinical nurse, a nurse administrator, and a nurse educator during my years at the University of Iowa Hospitals and Clinics and the College of Nursing. My husband Dave and I have been married for 50 years. We live northwest of Iowa City on an acreage with our two dogs and lots of wildlife. We have two daughters living in Pennsylvania and Minnesota, both married, who have blessed us with two sons and four grandchildren. We look forward to Camp Tickets when they all travel home to spend a week together with us every summer. I enjoy reading, gardening, and cheering for the underdog. I want to take this opportunity to recognize our leader, Jill Mortensen. Jill describes serving as a co-hostess for the 2001 convention of Iowa State Chapter as a highlight experience. She has served for the past 16 years consecutively. Jill has been, first of all, a 5-year commitment for the Iowa State Chapter. She was a president in 1910-11, or I'm sorry, in 2010 and 11. Then as an advisor and recruiter for County College, state, and province chairs, and then the phone call. Please, will you serve a term on the Iowa P.E.O. Project Fund? And I quote, I have been rewarded by saying yes. Recently, Jill was elected president of OV Cedar Falls and is looking forward to encouraging and inspiring all the sisters in her chapter to move to their next level of involvement. She and her very supportive BIL Mark have a daughter, Amy, son-in-law, and grandson. Amy is also an active PEO. Jill has provided calm and clear guidance for us over this past year. Her commitment to the Iowa PEO Project Fund and moreover to PEO is steadfast. Jill, we thank you. I'm looking forward to working with Mary Funk, incoming Vice President, Terry Legg, incoming Treasurer, and Mindy Reese, our Assistant Treasurer. Mary is a member of Chapter OQ Des Moines. She was initiated into Chapter NC Mount Pleasant by her mother, Elizabeth Garles, in 1988. She is a labor and convention attorney with an I Master Good law firm in Des Moines, and she and her husband, Rob, live in Clive with their sons, Henry, a freshman at Coe College, Jack, a high school junior. Mary also served on the executive committee for the International Convention held in Des Moines in 2019. In her free time, Mary loves to travel, work in the yard, and cheer on Valley and Packers football. Terry Legg was initiated into Anamosa Chapter FU in 1978 and is currently in Chapter OH Des Moines. She grew up in Anamosa and graduated from Iowa State University with a degree in early childhood education and special ed. She worked as an early access home intervention teacher for 37 years before retiring. Terry has been married to her high school sweetheart for 44 years, and they have two sons, both married with two great wives and two darling grandchildren who reside in New York and Colorado. The Leggs enjoy traveling as a family and get together often. Terry's hobbies include reading, gardening, and playing with mahjong and pickleball. We will have two new members to be appointed by our outgoing president, Carol Goldsmith. Additionally, Mindy Reese will continue as our assistant treasurer. I want to give a special thank you to Mindy for stepping in as our treasurer this past year, in addition to her other duties to cover a vacancy created by a resignation on the board. Mindy's financial expertise, attention to detail, and helpful historical perspective from her previous 5-year term on the board keeps us on track. She was initiated into Chapter CN in Williamsburg, Iowa in 1996. Following a few years living in Chicago as a young graduate, she visited several PEO chapters, moved back to Iowa, and transferred to Chapter AM in Nevada. In 2007, Mindy and her family moved to Washington, Iowa, where she is currently a member of Chapter OC. Her husband, Tyler, and she have twin daughters, 17, and a 13-year-old son, and they have their own seed and precision agronomy business, where Tyler handles the employees and big picture stuff and Mindy the details. This gives her flexibility to volunteer in the schools and community where she serves on the local school board, teaches fitness classes at the local YMCA, and has been a 4-H leader for the past 15 years. And now a brief historical perspective on the IPPF. According to the history of P.E.O. in Iowa, Volume 3, an early chapter paid for shingles for a new roof for the home of a needy family. In 1895, at the state convention, it was suggested for the first time that a retirement home for elderly sisters be considered. This did not happen immediately. In 1928, the first project of the ISC, the Iowa Welfare and Trust Fund, was established with $1,000. In 1966, the operation dropped the Welfare and Trust name and became known as the Friendship Fund. It was open to non-members as well as members to conform with government regulations. Funding was provided by the Iowa State Chapter with an allocation of chapter dues, private donations, and investment income. This has grown from 8 recipients in 1977-78 to over 70 in later years. Grants were limited to a maximum of $75 per month. An emergency fund up to $500 could be granted for an unexpected expense. In 1929, Sarah Porter Beckwith, a widow in Mount Pleasant, donated her large home to the sisterhood. The retirement home for elderly sisters had become a reality. It was known as the Sarah Porter Beckwith Home, and it operated from 1930 to 1997 and had a 501c3 designation from the IRS. In 1936, Iowa State started a scholarship program for Iowans attending Iowa College. The amounts have varied over the years, with the first being around $450. Today, a $5,000 grant per semester per student from Iowa attending Colley College is given to those students meeting eligibility requirements. In 1997, the property and contents of the Sarah Porter Beckwith home were sold for $215,688, and the Sarah Porter Beckwith Fund was established. It was a 501c3 tax-exempt organization. In 2000, funds from the Sarah Porter Beckwith Fund were combined with the Friendship Fund, and with the leadership of Catherine Mick, Iowa State President at the time, Iowa State Chapter President, the IPPF became the umbrella for the Sarah Porter Beckwith Friendship Fund and the Iowa College Scholarship Fund. The project idea for Iowa P.E.O. members had come full circle, beginning as one in 1928, two in 1930, and three in 1936. It is now one again, the Iowa P.E.O. Project Fund. And through the years, these funds have always been supported by the Iowa State Chapter with an allocation of dues, chapter donations, private gifts, and investment income. This created an opportunity for many lives to be affected in a positive manner. This past year, we have distributed 86 grants for a total of $401,355. This was only 97% of the funds we allocated. Only 15% of our chapters submitted grants. Those grants went to people needing financial assistance. Time limits me from talking about all of the grants allocated, but I will mention general categories and circumstances. COVID played a role this past year as the job market and lost income impacted many families due to death, chronic illness, closed businesses, and inability to secure childcare. A mother died from COVID complications, leaving her husband with several children, and his need to get a job with a lower income to better care for the children. He faced having his utilities shut off in the middle of the winter. Home repairs, restoration costs from house fires, mental illness and domestic violence, and their impact on families already struggling. Dental and medical expenses, some associated with lodging and travel expenses. Medical expenses for a service dog, people with debilitating disease that inhibits their ability to work enough to pay their basic needs, and a single woman, self-employed, fighting breast cancer. These are just a few examples. And yes, we helped with 2 roof repairs, just as our sisters did so many years ago. Through the years, the Sarah Porter Beckwith Friendship Fund has provided tuition assistance as well as living expenses to those showing financial need. This past year, we increased our tuition grant to $5,000. We had approximately 25 tuition grants ranging from $1,000 to $5,000. Although these 14 included living expenses with tuition. We work hard to be consistent in our decisions. We look at the entire application and situation. How much support is there from state and federal grants? Are family members able to help out? How much skin in the game does the applicant have? Are they helping to pay for their education by holding a job? How much time do they have left until they are finished? How much have they accumulated in loans, and so on? Each application is read and treated independently. As Jimmy Carter said, we must adjust to changing times and still hold to unchanging principles. I think of this often as some applicants asking for assistance show financial need, but are not necessarily from poverty. We do feel that we are approving grants for those that show financial need, a principle that is the backbone of our fund. To all 55 chapters who sent us grant applications for these individuals, and some of you sent multiples ranging from 2 to 10, thank you for reaching out in your community and going the extra mile to assist these individuals and families by bringing them to the attention of the IPPF and giving us the opportunity to offer them a hand up in their current time of financial need. Our chapters work very hard to find these people and to get applications for them so that we have an opportunity to offer them a hand up. You are important to us. You have been generous with your support to your recipients and have impressed us with the manner in which you have gone the extra mile to help them. I reached out to some asking if or how this had impacted the involvement of their members. It seemed that it had, as members were helping with home repairs and getting BILs involved, seeking estimates from vendors, securing medical and health information for applicants, and signing up for a designated month to send cards, take food, and check in with the recipients to see how they were doing. One chapter has even helped with student supplies for an area school that the teachers generally had to purchase out of their own pockets. A chapter learned of a recipient that was trying to dry her clothes all around her house, and a member gave her a dryer, took a dryer to her. A chapter is looking into adopting the family recipient through a local agency that has a program for this sort of assistance. These are just a few examples of the P.E.O. love that you are showing in your community. Keep up the good work and encourage members of your sister chapters, one of the 85% that did not sponsor a candidate for a grant, that they would not only be helping an Iowan in their community, but they would be giving their chapter members an added sense of purpose. In addition to our Sarah Porter Beckwith Friendship Fund grants, we have provided $95,000 to Iowa students attending Cotty College for the 2001-2022 school year. The students are selected by the Cotty College Committee and submitted to the IPPF board for approval and payment. From an initial investment of $1,000 in 1928, P.E.O. chapters now have an investment fund a bit over $4 million. The annual financial allocation for grants comes from a formula used by the board, 5 to 8% of the preceding 2 years' average investment balance, plus all gifts received for the year. This year's gifts totaled $132,685. Thank you. This past year, 109 chapters were recognized as a Catherine Mick chapter, having gifted $500 or more to the IPPF. Additionally, another 20 chapters gifted $1,000 to the IPPF and are recognized as an above and beyond chapter. These chapters are recognized on posters at our display table. Supporting the IPPF with donations is essential to our success. We appreciate your generosity. Our funds are carefully managed as the board utilizes a professional advisor to manage the investment fund. We are further aided by Mindy Reese, our assistant treasurer, and the Denman and Company accounting firm in fulfilling our fiduciary duty. We take this responsibility you have entrusted to us very seriously. As we move into this new fiscal year, 2022-23, we will continue with the $5,000 grants to those demonstrating financial need for living expenses and/or tuition assistance. This $5,000 is a lifetime limit. Grants are only available to individuals or families who are residents of Iowa and recommended by local P.E.O. chapters. Foreign students holding F1 visa status or their dependents holding F2 visa status are not eligible. Refugee applications are reviewed on a case-by-case basis. I encourage you to visit our webpage at peoiowa.org and click on Iowa Philanthropies and the Iowa PEO Project Fund. Here you will find information on preparing the application for submission and materials needed for the Sarah Porter Beckwith Friendship Fund. Please download and print the application form from this site and use, as it has been updated to request email addresses for the applicants. Check for the /2022 in the bottom right-hand corner of each page. An IPPF business card with this information is available at our display table for you to take back to your chapters. Our newsletter offers ideas for finding individuals in financial need. Please take a look at this. We encourage chapters to imagine how they could locate individuals in their communities needing financial assistance. Dare to dream about reaching out to them and be inspired to offer them a hand up in their time of need by submitting an application to the IPPF. We depend on and need our chapters to provide us with the applications and then continue to support the recipients after they have received their grant. I will leave you with the words of Mother Teresa. Let us not be satisfied with just giving money. Money can be God, but they need your hearts to love them. So spread love everywhere you go. This chapters is what so many of you are doing. This is such an important role for you to hold with the recipients of IPPF grants. Be there for them. Thank you.